Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. It's now time for a second and final topic of discussion for today. And we're going to be shedding the light on the transfer of the solar boat for ancient King Khufu from the vicinity of the pyramids to the Grand Egyptian Museum. And to shed more light on this topic, we're most delighted to be joined over the phone by Mrs. Youmna Salama, tour guide. First of all, good morning, Mrs. Youmna, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning.
First, why was it a must to transfer the solar boat from its original place?
First of all, it's very important to shed light on something that today we are working to have all the archaeological sites as we have here in Egypt. Most of our archaeological sites, World Cultural Heritage sites. So the building of the boat actually was not matching with this concept. And after the research that have been done, while they were thinking about transporting the boat, it was discovered that its place right now is not safe for the boat. Adding to that, it's very important to have a new home for this boat to display it in a much advanced way and proper way than how it was displayed before, which was fine for that period of time. But now we have technology and we have more tools to display it in a better way, so why not?
Yes, and also, Mrs. Youmna, what about the fate or the destiny of the second boat?
The second boat is going also to the Grand Egyptian Museum. So both boats will be displayed at the Grand Egyptian Museum in their own building.
Yes, speaking about the archaeological importance, can you just walk us through the early life or the life of King Khufu, his family, his reign, achievements, and so on and so forth?
Well, we can talk for hours about King Khufu and the great achievements he did during his lifetime. Actually, I would like to shed light more to explain to the people about the boat itself. King Khufu, of course, we can talk about his achievements and how he managed to build this great pyramid that became the biggest pyramid in the world and definitely among all the Egyptian pyramids. However, the boat itself, because people repeat constantly the solar boat, just to shed light on something very important, it was also used as a funeral boat to transport the body of the king after his death from the east bank of the river Nile to the west bank. So actually it was used once to bring the body of the king to be mummified in the west bank where the pyramids are located, and then symbolically it will be used as a solar boat in the afterlife. So actually the Egyptians back then, thousands of years ago, did not put all this effort for just a symbolic boat. It was used once, and that is to be seen in the tracing of water underneath the boat, and by research and science we also proved that the boat has been at least once in sweet water, which is probably the water of the river Nile. Adding to that, the wood of this boat is actually cedar wood, which is not a local wood. It's imported from Lebanon and Syria, and that shows 1,000 years ago Egypt had very good relation with its neighbors and trading and commerce, as we are today. So these are two important points, and of course the boat itself was a unique boat because it was the only boat we found and restored and displayed in the same place. It was actually found in the pit next to Cheops Pyramid or Khufu Pyramid. And this is one pit of 5, by the way, and it was restored at the same place and then displayed at the same place when they built this museum around it. And that's because due to the time, at that time, these are the tools and the facilities we had at this time. We did not have a better option to transport such a huge, massive boat to somewhere else. Now we do have the facilities, we have the tools, and we can show the world these massive boats in a much better way.
Yes, Mrs. Youmna, also if you can tell us, how did you see the convoy ceremony or the transfer of the boat itself?
Well, I actually saw the preparation for this, myself being a tour guide and going actually into the Grand Egyptian Museum with special tools and all this. I saw the preparation months and years ago. I saw this transportation tool when they were still working on it. I saw it when it came to Giza in the shrine. I saw how they were preparing every step to reach what we can see today in front of our eyes, the arriving of the boat, very safe, thank God, to its new home. And the parade itself reminded me, allow me to say that, this is my personal opinion, but reminded me of the funeral procession of King Khufu himself. Maybe the respect of the silence, there were no crowds in the parade except the security and all the people in this matter, engaged in this matter. I don't know why I got the feeling this is the funeral of King Khufu, and this is maybe how it looked back then, thousands of years, and especially transporting it in two close by points, from the Giza Plateau to also the Giza. So it was actually very well organized, very well organized, and it looked very decent and very touching. And people who were living actually across the road, they were taking shots and filming from their balconies, and they were sending on social media. Maybe you saw this as well. So the Egyptians are engaged and highly touched by what's happening today.
Yes, indeed. Also, Mrs. Youmna, speaking about the build-up to the gem or the Grand Egyptian Museum, moving all these invaluable artifacts to the Grand Egyptian Museum, do you think that this is going to be further added value?
Definitely, because our target here is to display the Egyptian antiquities in the best way, and also in an educational way. As we have seen in the Civilization Museum, how we are displaying now the mummies in a more educational way, because before the displaying maybe for some people was like rather than a shocking way. So now we have our target to display our antiquities in a more educational way, to educate our Egyptians and also tourists coming to Egypt. So it's very important today to look at this perspective when we are displaying an object. And I think this is the right place for the boat of King Cheops to be at the gem, since the gem is a culture center. It's not a museum. I always refer to the gem as a culture center. So this is their new home, and we will all go visit them in their new home, inshallah, God willing.
Indeed, and we'll end it here. Mrs. Youmna Salama, tour guide, we really appreciate your insight as always, and thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show. And dear viewers, by this we wrap up today's episode of The Breakfast Show. Just a quick recap of what we discussed. We talked about the role of youth in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in Egypt and Africa, of course. And we also talked about the transfer of the solar boat of King Khufu to the gem or the Grand Egyptian Museum. Dear viewers, you're in the company of myself, Karim Gamaluddin, and my colleague Dina Hussein. Until we meet again, this is goodbye.